today's show, we will be talking about how or if our food supply will change due to climate change. I will be interviewing 4 scientists who all had certain jobs and did their research on this problem. With talking with them all, it seems that it will be effective. So let's find out. The first person we will be interviewing is Alex.
Hey guys, my name is Alex, and I am the environmental scientist of Bourne Middle School, and my job is to find out facts about the environment around us and how it affects us.
So Alex, how does human activity affect the balance of the earth?
So human activities are things that us humans cause to happen. We play a role in how Earth survives, which affects us. The environment is compromised by animals, plants, and other organisms. Main ways humans damage the ecosystem is producing waste and taking away too much plants or wildlife at a time without letting it regenerate naturally. Some of these activities include overhunting, which affects our food supply dramatically, and hunting is on its way to becoming a major issue. Some animals dying out from overhunting are elephants, lions, tigers, and rhinos. A serious contribution to affecting the environment is burning fossil fuels, what release giant amounts of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, and to live on Earth we need CO2. The way CO2 works is called the carbon cycle, and to make things short, carbon is what traps UV rays from the sun and heats the Earth. Too much will overheat the Earth, causing a lot of heat, melting ice and snow in places like Arctic lands and peatlands where methane is trapped, and methane is highly flammable. And here's a video clip of me explaining a bit more about carbon. Hey, I'm here at an ordinary road, and just looking at this scene you would think nothing of it, but there's actually something very serious going on. When cars pass by, they release giant amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, causing overheating. Just 1 gallon of gas releases 20 pounds of carbon, and on year, it's averaged 6 tons. Also, in the end, fueling up gasoline-powered cars is double the amount of money it costs for an electric car. We can only hope that some of these cars are electric, but if some of the cars aren't, and then that and a few other contributions are what's causing ice caps to melt and our Earth to really start to heat up.
Great video, that really explains more about carbon.
Thank you. Now I won't drag this on too much, but overheating, too much carbon, and little to no ice, and exceeding methane release is not good. And it doesn't stop there. When these gases release, they also affect hardiness zones. Hardiness zones are defined zones of places where plant life is able to grow.
Do you believe, after all the information you gathered, that there might be a solution to solve this problem?
Luckily, there are some solutions to all of this. Some of the ways to help is by using electric cars, which will cut down on the amount of carbon released into the atmosphere. Recycling will also do a great amount of restoring to our Earth by reducing the need to take more from the environment. Even simple things can help our environment to ensure safety for the present and generations to come by doing things like cutting down on gasoline-powered lawnmowers and changing regular light bulbs to compact fluorescent light bulbs. And most important and most fun is participating on Earth Day on April 22nd.
Research, Alex, and so the next scientist I will be interviewing is Michael, and he is our climate scientist. So Michael, how does climate change affect our food?
I am reporting live from this farm that had been flooded, and due to flooding, this farm will have to wait another week to start planting. So climate change affects our food supply because if temperatures get warmer, it would mean that weeds, fungi, and insects would all thrive.
Finally, the best for last. So our last 2 scientists are Casey and Billy, and they are both conservation scientists.
Thank you, Sophie. I'm out here at the waste treatment facility, and what we found was many solutions of how to stop global climate change and some very interesting data. Also, if people had less waste or didn't just throw it all away and used it more effectively, putting it into compost piles, for example, or using it to plant more food, that could also help with food and climate change. Also, along with this, we also found some very interesting data on the web.
Wow. So, do you believe that there is a solution to this problem?
Well, one solution is that if everyone drove electric cars and not normal vehicles that use gasoline, then half of the carbon emission from those vehicles would not be going going into the atmosphere, and an electric car can also save $10,000 more than a regular car in only 5 years.
Awesome job, guys. So after interviewing all of the amazing scientists, I do believe that climate change will affect our food supply, especially since our world's population is predicted to increase by 72% by 2050. But there is solutions to this problem that everyone should try and do to help our food supply stay big and not have to worry about food shortage. Thank you for watching today's show. Hope you enjoyed our segment on whether or not climate change will or did affect our food supply. Reporting live from Bourne Middle School. Students. This way? No. Here with me, we can't go on this way. Above here. I'm filming.
It is. And it doesn't stop there. When these gases release, they also affect hardiness zones. Hardiness zones are defined zones of places where plant life is able to grow. These zones are where our food comes from, and they are changing.
Scientists. Today's topic, climate change. So scientists, will the health of humans be affected by climate change?
The health of humans needs climate change like a fish needs a bicycle, so yes, human health will be affected by climate change.
Why is that?
Well, climate change is caused by many things in the world today, and as we watch, the Earth temperature rises all around the world.
Climate scientists, what do you have to say? What causes climate change?
Well, the types of gases in the air, which are CO2, oil gases, and burning of fossil fuels, are the cause of climate change. Because of this, the greenhouse gas is getting thicker while the ozone is getting thinner.
What makes climate change such a bad thing?
Climate change because changes in the concentrations of fine particulate matter in the atmosphere.
How is that?
The particles are smaller than 2.5 micrometers and thus can easily be inhaled.
What happens then?
Inhaling these particles can cause many health issues like lung cancer and asthma.
Could climate enhance the spread of disease?
Yes, it could, depending on weather conditions in a certain area.
Earth temperature rises all around the world on average by 0.45 degrees Fahrenheit. And in the past 10 years, as the snow seasons get shorter and the summers get longer, some people start to wonder, will this lead to our inevitable end as we know it as human beings?
Can human life affect the balance of the environment?
By overfishing and overhunting.
Why is that?
When hunters kill too many key predators like lions, bears, and tigers, they remove the very animals that keep plant consumers in balance or prevent overgrazing.
We will be back after the break. Okay. And we are back from the break. So scientists, is there any other important information you would like to share?
The most important thing about climate change is that it affects every single human being on the planet and generations of tomorrow. Climate change is the mostly natural process and has been happening for millions of years, for example, the Ice Age, but we could lessen our effect on it.
How could we stop the effects on the balance of our environment?
We can stop cutting trees down, stop commercial fishing because we are overfishing, take down old buildings we don't use or repurpose those buildings, and stop overhunting.
We should stop reproducing so much because population greatly affects climate change by increasing demand for power. Stop using nuclear, coal, and gas power in favor of using wind or solar power. Ride bikes because cars contribute to 27% of CO2 emissions, and lastly, use less water.
Can climate change affect people and the environment?
Yes, it can, because it causes stronger hurricanes, severe heat waves, which can be life-threatening.
What does climate change usually happen?
Most of the scientific research has taken place in North America and Europe, which is why most of the data supports that climate change is affecting the entire planet.
Before you said changes in temperature can cause a change in disease. Can you elaborate on that?
Impacts of climate change on our health may depend on different factors. For example, these factors may include the abundance of different communities' health and safety services.
Can higher temperatures increase bacteria? And if it could, what would happen?
Bacteria would form faster in warm environments.
How?
Higher air temperatures can increase bacteria-related illnesses because bacteria grow faster in warm environments.
And what would happen?
Flooding and heavy rain can contaminate water supplies and crops with pathogen-containing sewage. It can also increase waterborne parasites that are sometimes found in drinking water.
What could the water contaminate?
This water can contaminate ponds and lakes and cause swimmers and people who drink the water to contract eye, ear, nose, throat infections and probably gastroenteritis.
Would the rate of animal-borne illness increase or decrease?
It would increase because most of these illnesses favor warm, wet environments.
Can the climate change affect the weather?
Extreme weather events can jeopardize human life by making food and water inaccessible or difficult to procure, and can interrupt communications and health and safety services.
And what would the most severe outcome of climate change?
In the most severe case, climate change could end life as we know it. Yes, climate change could cause the apocalypse. People would be fighting over water and food and medical supplies. The world would fall into chaos. Cheery. But climate change, even though it is a natural process, can be lessened by just a few things.
Well, thank you, scientists. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.
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 Hello and welcome. Today I have 3 climate-based scientists that are here to talk to you about the effects that our climate has on the Earth's wildlife. First, we have Dr. Nicholas Ellery Card here to talk about our climate and how, as it changes, animal extinctions are on the rise.
Scientists are predicting that climate change could contribute to the extinction of animals in the near future.
What types of animals are near extinction around the world?
Of the 44,838 species worldwide, 905 are extinct, and 16,928 are threatened to be extinct. We're losing our polar bears, whales, toads, and fish. They are not alone. Thousands of animals are going extinct or are in danger of becoming extinct because of climate change.
What kind of things affect the extinction of polar bears and whales?
Sea ice is melting at a rate of 9% per decade, endangering the polar bear's habitat and extinctives. The North Atlantic right whale is one of the most endangered of whales, with a long history of human exploitation. Since warming waters contain less plankton for whales to eat, of the availability of food. Between 300 and 350 of these whales still exist, with small hope of population growth. When being dissected, whales are found with large amounts of beach trash inside of them. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a vortex of marine debris in the North Pacific Ocean. It spans from the west coast of North America to Japan. This convergence zone is where warm water from the South Pacific meets with the cooler water from the Arctic.
What can we do to save our climate?
Some ways that global warming can help get stopped is to use renewable energy, use energy-efficient appliances, drive a fuel-efficient vehicle, and shrink your carbon use. You can reduce, reuse, and recycle. Stop your junk mail. Buy locally, and don't waste food.
Yeah.
Next, we have Miss Nature, who is here to explain conservation.
These sites account for only 1.4 of the planet's land area and yet contain 44% of all plant species and 35% of all land vertebrate species. Biologists, ecologists, and conservationists are under pressure to understand why and where species are being lost. Habitats are constantly changing and not many people are trying to help conserve them. When waste is thrown all around the environment of the animals, it forces them to move into different areas and they must adapt. Adapting can be pretty hard and surviving takes a lot. In 2013, U.S. greenhouse gas emissions totaled 6,673 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents. In 2013, total represents a 6% increase since 1990, but a 9% decrease since 2005. During the past 40 years, close to 20% of the Amazon rainforest has been cut down, and more of the previous 450 years since European colonizations began. Scientists fear that an additional 20% of the trees will be lost over the next 2 decades. If that happens, the forest ecology will begin to unravel. Such a drought afflicted the Amazon in 2005, reducing river levels as much as 40 feet and stranded hundreds of communities.
If we want our animals to stay in their habitats, how should we conserve the planet?
We're able to conserve these habitats by cutting down less forests and cutting down the resultant pollution. We should stop putting harmful gases into the atmosphere because it is harming all the animals' habitats and they are running out of places to go.
Lastly, we have Mr. McKay, an environmental scientist, who will elaborate on how to protect the environment and what we are doing to affect it. What are some of the main roles in disrupting the environment?
Animals' habitats can be destroyed by many things in the earth. One of the major roles disrupting the animal environment is human life. Every day, humans throw mass amounts of waste into nature, ruining animals' habitats. Another example would be deforestation. Deforestation is clearing Earth's surface on a massive scale, also resulting to the direction of animals' habitats and homes. One more big reason would be the creation of new buildings and places, also known as urbanization. Urbanization is responsible for 85% of species loss, shrinking animals' living space, ruining their habitats. One day, if this construction keeps going, there will no longer be forests for our animals.
How much waste is there per year?
The average human wastes about 3,285 pounds of waste per year. Forests and football fields are lost every 2 seconds of the day due to waste. In a whole day, equivalent to 24 hours, there is equivalent of 43,200 football fields.
And Mr. McKay, how can we fix all these problems?
If this waste problem were up to me to fix, the first thing I would do would be to make a big announcement and get as many people on board as possible to solve this problem. I would make sure that if someone were to put trash only in their dumps and trash bins, they would get fined for ruining animals' habitats and have a certain time to pay it by. Doing this would lessen the chances of them ever doing it again. Encouraging them. Another way I would stop people from wasting trash would be encouraging them to purchase more recyclables, causing less trash and saving more animals in their habitats. If the urbanization problem were up to me to fix, up for me to solve, there would be many restriction areas near big forests where many animals also live their lives so that they can live their lives in peace.
Thoughts on sea level rise?
2100 sea level rise, the sea level rise will rise 2.5 feet to 6.5 feet underwater. And scientists expect that in the year 2100, the sea level rise will rise 2.5 feet to 6.5 feet.
Which coastal areas and islands are most vulnerable to sea level rise?
The southeast is more vulnerable to sea level rise. And if people wanted to get away from the higher sea level rise, they would want to go to Nepal.
Where will these people go when their homelands are no longer inhabitable?
They would go to Nepal because it's the farthest away from the southeast.
What are 3 factors linked to sea level rise?
The three factors linked to sea level rise is thermal expansion, melting glaciers and polar ice caps, and ice loss from Greenland. That's all.
How will the cost of trying to fix climate change affect the economy, Ricky?
Well, since 2011 up to 2015, there's been an annual cost average of $10.8 billion per year, and there's at least 10 natural disasters, including climate and weather.
What could happen if the climate change rate keeps going?
Well, it's expected that 2%, or 5,500 acres of land are going to be submerged.
What could happen if the climate change rate keeps going?
Well, the average yearly cost right now is about $10.8 billion. So you can only imagine that it's going to keep growing, possibly even $30 or $50 million. Sea level rise will lead to the destruction of infrastructure, roads, buildings, and crops. It threatens food security and availability of fresh water for the entire nation, as higher sea levels and more powerful storms will lead to contamination of these precious resources in the long run. You will start to see entire islands to disappear.
How could this affect us locally here on Cape Cod?
Well, it's expected that 2%, or about 5,500 acres, are going to be submerged in water. We can lose the entire coastlines along the east and the west coast.
How can we solve climate change?
What really any little thing can help to solve climate change. For example, something as little as even planting a tree. It can take in the carbon dioxide from the air. Start buying your food locally, because the farther it is, the more it has to travel, the more greenhouse gases and the more fossil fuels are being emitted. And lastly, some of the littlest things can help solve it. Even the spread of word just around can help, just to let people know, make people aware.
What are greenhouse gases doing to contribute to sea level rise?
Snow and ice are starting to melt earlier in the year, which makes the sea level rise increase. Greenhouse gases in the air make heat waves more likely to occur, which can cause death. Scorching summers, stronger storms, and melting glaciers. Oh my god, right? Can call this extra CO2 causes temperatures of the atmosphere and oceans to rise.
How has climate change been affected by population?
By everybody heating their houses. The average US household produces 7.5 tons of CO2 per year. What we, the public, can do is reduce climate change, is we can reduce, reuse, and recycle. We can purchase green power, which is electricity generated by wind and solar energy. In Bourne, Massachusetts, there are the Clean Energy Center, Cape Light Compact, Cape and Island Self-Reliance, and American Solar Energy Society. This will help by not putting as much greenhouse gases into the air. Burning fossil fuels in everyday activities like heating our homes, driving cars, and manufacturing stock increases the carbon dioxide into our air. As the carbon dioxide gets into the air, the earth gets warmer, and yeah.
What do you know about climate change? How is it being affected? And how long is it going to go for? Or when did it start? These are all questions people have been asking scientists. One of the main reasons is the people. We have polluted our earth. Done.
How has the uprising greenhouse gases changed the climate around the world?
The increase in greenhouse gases has made the temperatures and climates increase around the world. The level of methane gas, carbon dioxide, and nitrous oxide have gone up more than 1,000 ppb, or parts per billion, in the past 100 years. The main reason that those gases are increasing is that humans are not paying attention to what they are putting into our atmosphere.
This all started with the Industrial Revolution. Factories were producing thousands and thousands of products each day. As this was happening, all the gases that were being released into the air were totally irrelevant to the people who worked in those factories.
Today we are trying to limit the amount of greenhouse gases we put into the air. There is no way to fully stop it, but we can definitely decrease the amount we use.
What can we do to help conserve the earth, and what problems are humans causing?
I'm sure you have heard a lot about global warming and how humans are affecting the earth. Sadly, this is true. Humans are taking advantage of many different materials such as plastic water bottles, cement, and forestry resources. Using and disposing of these things play a big part in polluting the earth. Americans use over 50 billion plastic water bottles every year, but the U.S. only recycles about 23% of water bottles. That leaves about 38,500,000,000 unrecycled water bottles every year, just in the U.S. If we stopped using plastic water bottles today, it would take 450 years for all of them to decompose. While water bottles and other trash is decomposing, methane is produced, which is a greenhouse gas that is about 23 times stronger than carbon dioxide. Too much methane in the earth causes temperatures to rise across the earth. This is a big contributor to global warming. A big and very effective way to help save Earth is the foundation of most houses and buildings, the main component of roads that we drive on. Cement is used for most things involving construction. As you can see, cement is all around us, but what you don't know is the harm that it is doing on our environment. The cement stratum is the world's third largest industrial source behind pollution. The average number of cement used by every person on Earth each year is about 3 tons. This amount of cement produces more than 500,000 tons of sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and carbon monoxide each year. Sulfur dioxide causes acid rain, has acidified soils, lakes, and streams, accelerated corrosion of buildings and monuments, and reduced visibility. Nitrogen oxide is also a cause of acid rain and forms algae in water and sucks the oxygen out of water, taking it away from fish and other marine wildlife. A way we could reduce this issue is to get shell, rock, or stone driveways. Trees are also something humans take for granted. Humans make paper from them, cut them down to build buildings and houses. Trees support our breathing by putting oxygen in the air. If we start using less paper and be sure to recycle it, it will help this issue. Humans are doing many things that put the earth and every living thing on it in danger. We have to do small things that will affect the world in a big way.
I understand that the environment is being affected as well. Can you tell me a little about that?
Our studies have shown us that over the next century, temperatures will increase 2.5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a result of global climate change. Our group has been studying one of the glaciers in Alaska called Muir Glacier. From 1941 to 2004, Muir Glacier has shrunk over 2,625 feet. Another place being affected is the Great Lakes. They have risen 3 feet in the past decade. Since the Great Lakes were formed by glaciers, they are still being affected by them to this day. Also, deforestation is a big factor to the environment. According to the Environmental Defense Fund, EDF, a leading group, 32 million acres of tropical rainforest were cut down each year between 2000 and 2009. Also, as the Earth's population increases, more houses are needed. That means that more and more trees are getting cut down. Trees give us oxygen that we need to survive, and they take in carbon dioxide, which we breathe out. If we don't do anything to stop the deforestation, our oxygen levels will plummet and carbon dioxide levels will increase, making an increase in greenhouse gases. And places will also be severely droughted. Climate scientists predict that the region will get even hotter and drier as more of the state's precipitation falls as rain instead of snow in the mountains. It will run off the land more quickly, ending up in the ocean, and the droughts are getting worse and worse because the snow on the national park that is used as California's water, and the snow keeps melting at an alarming rate. The California state senator is trying to build a 4-foot above-ground pipeline like the Alaskan pipeline to get water from other states. The ideal cost for this project will have to be $30 billion, says the state senator of California.
Lastly, how has climate been affected?
The climate has been affected because the atmosphere can hold more water, so when it rains in certain areas like South Sudan, the areas will flood, causing crops to be destroyed, and the 11,954,668 people who live there wouldn't be able to eat or drink. When the area floods, there can be harmful materials in the area like oil and other pollution. Also in Antarctica and other places with big ice sheets, they are slowly melting, causing floods, and more harmful rays from the sun are going through the ozone layer. In order to help reduce your climate change, they make apps that help you keep track of all your waste. In the town of Bourne, there is a lot of pollution that most people don't know about. Since Bourne is surrounded by water on all sides, people are making the ocean and beaches dirty. We don't realize how much a plastic bag or soap can do to our planet. On average, 1,100 tons of plastic bags are dumped into our ocean. Those bags kill lots of wildlife like sea turtles, whales, birds, and seals. The plastic bags are mistaken as jellyfish, which all of those animals feed off of. We can limit this number of plastic bags being dumped into the ocean by just recycling. To help reduce climate change, there are testing a new method called geoengineering, but could be harmful because they use volcanic ash coolant, and they're arranging mirrors to reflect solar rays, which can be harmful to the ozone layer. In California, they rely on El Nino for their water supply, and instead, now they have to rely on their underground aqueducts. They have to spend as much as $1.8 billion a year on these underground water wells. Heat waves have increased in the past 60 years due to the increased methane and smoke being pushed into the atmosphere that add to the climate change. Exceptional drought happens every 50 to 100 years, causing us to use our wells, and dries up the rivers and streams. Tell people in California you can reduce your water usage and can take shorter showers. By doing these things, you could save 2.5 gallons of water, and if everyone in the world did this, it would save 795.25 gallons of water.
Our group would like to give a huge thank you to Miss Fish for letting us use the Innovation Studio to help us create our project. We would also like to thank our science teacher, Miss Aflague, for guiding us through our research.